On the inside, Ride the Rails with a good effort is right alongside Halo's Image. We'll see if Halo's Image doesn't take that right-hand turn today. And just behind the top three is Go for Gin. They're at the top of the stretch, and it's Holy Bull, who's led from the start. He has it by 3.5 lengths. Halo's Image is tough. On the inside, Ride the Rails, and Go for Gin on the outside, and down the stretch they come. And Holy Bull has led every step of the way, and Mike Smith aboard, wire-to-wire winner of the Florida Derby.
And a very pumped-up Hall of Famer Mike Smith aboard, the late, great Holy Bull, and, of course, Dave Johnson with the call back in the 1994 Florida Derby as Acacia Courtney and Jason Blue would join you on this live Saturday edition of Gulfstream Today, just a week out from the Florida Derby.
Crazy to think we're just 1 week away. We have 13 races on tap today, including 2 stakes, but, of course, the mood still seems to be gearing up for that Express Bet Florida Derby. A couple of more workers this morning, including Garter and Ty and Harvey Wallbanger, and you can definitely feel the atmosphere with just 1 week to go.
Yeah, no doubt. Crunch time is here. It's like studying for finals and the final exam just 7 days out. Very much looking forward to that Saturday, March 30th. Now, as we took a step back to 1994, we won't go that far back in time, just a few hours. And how'd you do yesterday and beat the expert?
No, I didn't do well. I did not. So congratulations, Anthony, Bob, and Ruth. I think the first, like, 2 or 3 races, I had that flip-flopped exacta thing where I was second, and I said, this is just the kind of race that it's going to be. But that doesn't count. So congratulations to the 3 winners. You beat the expert. It's always a lot of fun. Jason is up next Friday for our last installment this meet.
And that coincides looking ahead to the Stronach 5. And I'll be curious to see what the lineup is back, or I should say ahead of time, on Friday, March 29th, because we will have 4 stakes in the mix on that Florida Derby Eve card, if you will. But again, looking at yesterday's sequence as we cap things in the 5th race out at Golden Gate Fields, another handsome reward. I don't think we've had one single Acacia Stronach 5 that has paid less than $1,000.
I think we have had a couple earlier, but with this $100,000 guaranteed pool, I think that's when things have really gotten a little bit of a bigger payout. So we've really seen quite a bit coming into the pool, and we appreciate you all jumping in and clearly being well rewarded.
Yeah, $7,000 plus, $7,100 and some change. And, of course, we've got a big carryover coming up in just a few moments here. But first, what are we looking most forward to on this Saturday, March 23rd? For me, it's the 64th running of the Hutchison. That is a race. Certainly what it lacks in quantity, I think, makes up for it in quality with 3 major players. The weather is perfect here, and it's just a good Saturday card from start to finish.
It absolutely is a gorgeous day, as Jason mentioned, and that Rainbow Six continues to be the conversation. $2.17 million. That starts in race number 8 today, and that's the big story as far as the carryovers are concerned as well.
Absolutely, and I don't think you could pick a nicer day in the weather department for thoroughbred racing here in South Florida on a fast and firm Saturday card that does. I mean, the real marquee in neon lights is that $2.1 million plus situation we have in the Jackpot Rainbow, and with each passing day, we move a little closer to what will be a mandatory payout 8 days from now, the day after the Florida Derby.
That's right. Sunday, March 31st will be the mandatory payout. Not Saturday. It will be Sunday. So perfect reason to stick around this weekend. Come for the fantastic races on Saturday, including that Express Bet Florida Derby, and then get right back in with a good card on Sunday with that mandatory payout, which those 2 words are what every bettor loves to hear.
No question. And it's hard to believe, but it's the case. 6 full cards remain here this winter championship season, and it begins a little after 12:45. Give or take around 12:50 with that opening pick 5, and we have a big favorite coming up in the first.
We do, and in typical Acacia fashion, I'm going to try to beat him because I like to be difficult, I guess. So I'm using 3 horses, even though Danny Bear off that last race is the one to beat. I just really felt like last time was the time for him. That said, must use for sure. Going 3 deep in race number 2, using 2 horses in the 3rd. I think Queen Roller off the claim, but Bright Venezuelan on the drop looks like the horse that's going to be coming from off the pace. So hopefully she's going to be the closer in what could be a very, very fast pace there. 2 horses in the 4th as well, and then wrapping things up with 2 in the 5th. I preferred the ones with some experience, even though both Super Stonehenge and Amnesty are coming out of turf races. They just look the live ones to me in that state bred special weight.
And that is a Florida bred duo in the 5th, both horses by Speightstown. One for Todd, the other for trainer Mark Cassie. Today's the day for amnesty. I feel as though this is like the telltale pivotal race. If he doesn't run giant, even in a narrow defeat, it might be on the maiden claiming races for him, and he obviously costs quite a bit of money, and we'll expound upon his chances a bit later in the show. But let's talk about this upcoming Saturday first, which off the bat we have the 7-0 Danny Bear, who the fig 6.5 last time looks perhaps a little too fast to be a predictive number, if you will. In the end, though, I get he was favored. I just didn't know where else to go in this race. You've got the other horse, though. There's two horses if you're not a fan or want to take a shot against O'Danny Bear, and that's Shanghai Go-Go, and obviously you got the second-time starter.
That was my thinking with this colt by Rockhampton in Totono for Antonio Sano. He's never run this cheap before. He debuted in special weight company, and he didn't get off to a good start that day, so he's taking a big drop in class. However, he was a huge price in that debut. It looked like this is probably where he wants to be in some sort of maiden claiming ranks. Maybe this is just a very big drop. It's just that, like you said, I didn't really know where else to go. And like I had alluded to earlier, I respect the connections with O'Danny Bear, but I just really felt like last time with Luis Saez favored, that was the day. Yeah,
fair enough. He is a favorite. Look, he's going to be around even money or maybe even a little shorter than a stick. You might be able to find on this card alone better favorites. Your point well taken there. But again, I just couldn't get cute with the first race winner. Moving on to the second, this is a card. There's a good amount of Gulfstream Park turf racing on this March 23rd. This will, in fact, begin a parade of 7 grass races. The turf obviously firm on a sunny day, and we do go at a mile and a 16th in this 2 lifetime $50,000 to $40,000 older claimer, in which there's 3 or 4, if you will, major horses between the 2 Belgrano, who's second off the claim, dropping down. I like that. We've also got the 5 stock trade for Bill Mott, who's in for 50 again, and you landed on the potential speed in the race, and I'm assuming that's why you picked the 6 Clear for Action.
I'm thinking that this horse is going to control the pace. We're happy to have Ray Lou Gutierrez in town today. A lot of irregular riders out of town, whether it's in Louisiana for some of the big races over there. But Ray Lou had started out here as an apprentice, done a really good job riding up in the Mid-Atlantic and New York as well. So I think he's going to handle this horse very, very well. And I know it's a last out maiden winner, but this one should control for Mike Maker.
I had to send Ray Lou a text saying, dude, what are you doing here at Gulfstream? You know, because he's obviously ridden in New York here the last few months over the winter time. And yeah, I guess with some guys out of town like Arad and Louie, Maker gave him first call today at Gulfstream. He's got a few live horses, so he said, why not? Come down, a little fun in the sun, and maybe a few winter circle photos. But Clear for Action, very dangerous, as is the number 2 Belgrano, who they took a shot nearly 60 to 1 in one of those starter stakes here on President's Day. Back to reality for him as he drops in class for Jorge Abreu. Third race, main track, 5.5 furlongs, 62.50, older filly and mare claimers. And for me anyway, there are 2 key recent acquisitions in the race. Certainly, first and foremost, the Zerpa claim, the number 2 Queen Roller. And here's a native of Venezuela, in fact, Gilberto Zerpa, who's been a year-round mainstay and has been certainly an outfit and a trainer who's put up some heady numbers first off the claim on the dirt. Almost otherworldly at 38 for 91, which is just unbelievable.
Just really incredible. And pretty much whatever kind of first off the claim stats you look up, they're going to be good. And that's certainly the hallmark of this barn, I would say. And we've seen not as many runners throughout the winter as we will likely see throughout the summer. Been a little bit quieter, I think, but still batting at about 21%. My question in this race was, I just saw so much speed. Queen Roller, Miss Surprise, certainly. The other new acquisition, and there goes Bella, even though she's turning back in distance, has speed. 40 Sweethearts has a little bit of early gas in there. So I took a shot. I know the big drop with Bright Venezuelan. This didn't work with Worth Avenue yesterday for Aubrey Mirage. I fully understand that. But I'm just hoping that this is a horse that's going to get the trip.
She will likely get a contested pace. For me, it's not even that the drop is so significant or it's such a precipice move again, drop in class. I wonder if she just can beat this field even for 62.50 on the dirt because she's been such a turf sprinter.
She's a turf sprinter. I get that too. And she's by Justin Phillip. I think that I don't have a problem with her running on the dirt. Blinkers do go on as well. And again, just hoping that she's going to be the one more than anything that takes advantage of a hot pace in front of her.
6-time winner right next door. In fact, the number 7 there goes Bella, who I picked. And at least with her her cutting back, and she's not a need-the-lead type. She's more of a speed horse and route presser, don't get me wrong, but she has rated successfully in the past, so perhaps on the turn back she'll get out-footed, she'll be up close, and she puts in a run. Quietly, I think trainer Juan Arias, who I don't know personally, this guy just wins down here.
He does a very, very good job. He's a good trainer for sure. Sources stable at Gulfstream, and I believe Gulfstream West as well. Angel Rodriguez going to be in the saddle, who's done pretty well since starting to ride down here at Gulfstream too. Again, kind of flying beneath the radar.
All right, moving on to the fourth race here. Saturday's card continues. Some 3 lifetime $16,000 claimers, and we have seen recently, and it's been that case basically since December, but it does seem, man, every time I look up after a claiming race, there's at least one horse, if not more, that have been claimed. Absolutely.
A lot of claiming.
And taking that theme, because I had new claims first and second and the third, I'm going to do the same move here with the 6, Naughty Bowie, who's first time out for Natalie Fox, and my top pick, the 9, Gilded Warrior, who takes a drop off the claim for Steve Caceres. As I looked around, some of the lean, I get they're all 2 lifetimes in this race, or 3 lifetimes, if you will, but are you talking to me, who I respect, 2 for 24, and I think the 7, Arpanella is the morning line favorite at 2 for 33. So those very lean lifetime records bothered me to an extent.
That is a tough thing. Honestly, I think Arpanella, off of his last couple of races, deserves to be a shorter price and deserves to be given the name of horse to beat. However, that 2 for 33, the maiden win was via DQ. He was put up in there, and he did manage to notch the non-winners of 2, but it was really kind of life and death for that. He's a very consistent horse. It's just that he has a hard time getting to the winner's circle. So I think he's one that you need to use underneath.
Right.
That's my thinking with him. That's why I put him in second. I did take Are You Talking to Me? I know that his last race, kind of maybe it's a similar thing of what we were talking in the first. Maybe last time out was the day that he was supposed to win. Prior to that, he was running against tougher, but I think he fits at this level.
And the 2 American Ninjas, we talk about the race again. He definitely deserves a mention. This is a sizable drop in class, and I'll tell you, his effort 2 back, he runs close or parallel to that effort January 13th. They all might be running for a minor award.
The biggest thing with him is that he's lately been coming from so far off the pace. So we'll see what kind of pace setups he gets today.
All right, that's the 4th race where you got some speed towards the outside, including my top pick. And we move on to the number 5, Amnesty, and of course Super Stonehenge, the 2 Florida breds by Speightstown, one owned and bred by Live Oak for Mark Casse, the Pletcher horse Amnesty owned by Windstar and China Horse Club. And again, the jury is still very much out being kind to the one Amnesty, who has been favored in 2 starts, won already on the turf, and just hasn't gotten off all that alertly. And I feel like today, this not so much a Hail Mary, but today he's got to run. I'm going to give him one more chance here for the obvious reasons of his purchase price, the money he's taken in the Pletcher barn and Javier, but I get why you picked against this horse, because he hasn't done, I mean, admittedly, really any running.
No, and he's got the inside post. I know it's going 6 furlongs. It's not perhaps as detrimental as going 7 or the mile, but even still, the inside post, if he doesn't break, which he has yet to do, that's a big concern for me being inside. But I certainly respect all of the things that you mentioned already, and I think I did, and maybe we both did, pick him in both of his starts already so far.
Oh, I've liked him a lot.
I think I've given him a try in both turf and dirt. But the 5 Super Stonehenge debuted on the turf, kind of had a little bit of a troubled beginning as well. That said, dirt to turf, second time starting in maiden special weight for Mark Casse. He's 9 for 42 for 21% win, 43% of the time and the money, and a positive ROI of 230. So that was kind of what made me say, let me give this one a try here, because he is not yet disappointed on the dirt.
And Gift of Florida, who's dialed in for Antonio Sato, who's just a week out from Gunnevera in the World Cup over at Maidan, is in the mix with Nick Juarez, and the 7 Beau Trace by Beau Schwa certainly has a chance. But it's almost like you look at the more modest, humbled background Florida breds on the outside running against the Casse and Pletcher, pricey Speightstown, or really nice Speightstown homebred sort of lineage for Live Oak. I mean, it's David versus Goliath in many respects.
A little bit, and worth mentioning, Blessed by the Best is Cassius King in partnership, and John Service had a nice win with Diamond King coming back yesterday at the 1-turn mile. So I think that just might be a preferred distance for him. So looking forward to his 2019 year.
Yeah, I almost wonder if the Met Mile in some way. No, it was only an allowance race on a weekday and all that, but I'm wondering if the Met Mile all of a sudden is on the radar, at least a potential, early season goal for him. He was really sharp and just, I mean, he eviscerated that field, never in doubt. All right, moving on to the 6th here. A couple of stakes today. I mean, clearly the real marquee races, despite the compact crew, is the 64th Hutchison later. But the any limit for 3-year-old fillies will go in race number 6. It starts that middle pick 4, and it's named for a 9-time winning filly who was trained by the late Alan Jerkins. Here at Gulfstream, she won the First Lady and proved a 2-time winner of the Hurricane Birdie. So she loved Gulfstream, pretty talented sprinter, and this is likely to boil down to a 2-horse affair between the 2 Smoke and Deb, the 5 Brunette Princess, and in the case of Smoke and Deb, I, like you, I'm assuming, think she's going to run big cutting from 7 to 6.
Yeah, she's got some speed, too. And as we backtrack to her last race, this was on President's Day, and the Queen Mother, she showed a lot of speed that day. She was beaten by Midtown Rose, who's just been in very, very good form as well. And looked like she was pretty comfortable here. It looked like she might get the win. Now, again, this was going 7-8, so I think the turn back to 6 might give her a little bit of time, as she did seem to get just a bit leg weary as she was run down by Midtown Rose. And she took a lot of money clearly in this race. I do think she's the one to beat. I did take Brunette Princess. I think that she's going to sit right off of Smoke and Deb, and this is a horse I've been chasing too. I really like her turning back to the 3/4 of a mile.
And this is, I don't think it's inarguable, this is the best spot, the easiest spot she has been in.
Faced.
I mean, ever since her maiden win, you run into Fancy Dress Party in the Glitter Woman. You're almost 70 to 1 against Feedback and Bye Bye Jay in the Forward Gal. And last time out, although she has not looked the part of a second coming of A World of Trouble, bit of both would be favored in this race.
Yes, absolutely. And a bit of both came back to win next time out. And again, just she's run against, I think, the most quality fields that what she faces today.
Yeah, great spot for her. Great guy riding her as well. And a good jockey in Chris Landero. So great jockey there on the outside for a good guy in Gustavo Delgado. Here's race number 7. Older 2 lifetime $16,000 claimers on the turf in this one. And although the thing that jumped off the page at me after looking at this race, Acacia, and you're not going to get paid on the 7 Ding Dong Ditch, this field has got size. I mean, it's basically an oversubscribed turf race where 14 entered and 12 are running. Looking around, though, it really is a pretty modest-looking affair for a horse like the 7, Ding Dong Ditch, excuse me, there for Jorge Navarro, who, again, is 8 wins in front of the man he claimed this horse off of.
That's what I thought was the funniest part, is that he claimed this one off of Todd Pletcher. And normally when you see claimed from Todd Pletcher, I think for both of us, it's a little bit of a red flag and looking at some other options. However, this was a horse claimed by Jorge Navarro, who seems to be able to claim off of anybody. Picks up Javier Castellano, who is still in town today. And I know he was beaten as the favorite last time, and it was a comparable level, but I think this is a softer spot than what he faced last out.
And he had legit trouble.
He
was really stymied and hemmed in. I mean, legit traffic from the quarter pole through about a little past the 8th pole. It was trouble that followed him for about a furlong and change. A clean trip today. They're probably going to have to really have their running shoes on to deny Ding Dong Ditch, as we kind of do the same, because we are going to take a little time out here, a little hide and go seek, and we'll be coming back with the Rainbow Six and a whole lot more after this. Welcome back. Live Saturday edition of Gulfstream today from our clubhouse studios with Acacia and Jason, as we have that one carryover Unsolved is the Rainbow Six with the single ticket winner since mid-February, and big pool coming your way this afternoon.
Oh, I am sure of that. We have 2.17 million just to begin. So hopefully you will be putting some tickets in. I did single. We already talked about one live Jorge Navarro runner. There's another one coming up. I'm using 3 horses. Wanted some coverage in this first leg. This maiden 16 had a few question marks for me. North Palm Beach maybe taking that big drop in class just might be the one. I'm going to just hang my hat on Mr. McFadden, who I know it's always a tough ask to get 3 in a row, but I just feel like this is the horse to beat in there.
Looks pretty good.
Trying to spread in a couple other races. I just ended up doing that one there. So 3 deep in race number 10 this afternoon, which is a pretty interesting race as well. And then we have a nice starter allowance in the 11th. I wanted to use 4 horses in that race. I think it'd be appealing briefs off the layoff is the one to beat, but he's coming in off of a layoff and has a lot to prove. Carlos 6 is very good last time, and I didn't want to leave him out. The 12th is grade 3 Hutchison. We've got Federal Case and Topper T. I'm using just those 2, but I am a little bit nervous by In the Loop on the inside, who was very, very good. And then we wrap things up with 3 horses for 43.20.
And 5, 7, 11 to cash things out at 43.20. Fairly logical spread. I've got 2 of the 3 you have in the nightcap, and we've got that, what amounts to a 3-horse battle. Gladiator King, I was a little surprised they didn't enter him against Winks this morning and then maybe wheel back here in the Hutchison.
He probably could have, you know.
He will complete the field. He's got some talent, but again, not my horse, but again, he will complete that quartet in the 64th Hutch. Anyway, though, and you mentioned In the Loop, we got Jorge Duarte, who also sends out the deuce in the opening leg of the Rainbow, Entrez Encore, who ran just 9 days ago and didn't really run all that well. I thought I was being a little cute picking her in that race. Lo and behold, she went off at 6-5 and just ran okay. To me, the 8 Sacrifice off just an obvious good last-out effort in context is just the filly they got to get around here.
Yeah, she certainly is. And she has some tactical speed to her as well, getting Paco Lopez today. I just didn't really think that was a very strong field that she comes out of. And so that's why I ended up taking the class dropper. Kind of, I guess, a similar thinking to what I did earlier. This uncaptured filly gets the blinkers on for Bob Hess. Maiden special weight to maiden claiming in their second start. He's 27% in the win column with that and 53% in the money. So some good numbers there. And so that was kind of pushed her over the edge for me.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see a couple of horses coming out of her race against Don't Make Fun and Trenchtown Cat returning here tomorrow afternoon in a good-looking maiden special weight on the turf on that Sunday card. Race number 9 does start the late pick 5 naturally here as we have 5 more races to go. And we got a 3 lifetime 6250 claimer to start. And your Rainbow Six single, Mr. McFadden, looks good to me. I mean, he's got a good post drawn outside, some of the other potential speeds. And much like the other Navarro runner, he just landed in a really good race where Navarro, I think, and I mean, he's a guy, Acacia, that plays the claiming game. He's got the numbers to do it in the stock, but he plays it really well. I even feel perhaps he's gotten a little aggressive here in the latter stages of this championship meet, looking for that first GP title. A couple of drop downs, a new claim for me in the 10th. I've got a speed, I've got a stalker, I've got a closer in the 11th, so very much covered with the full range of styles. 2 deep in the Hutch. I left out Topper T. Yeah, you left out In the Loop. I left out Topper T. I just prefer Federal Case and In the Loop a little more, and I'm 3-5-7 to wrap things up. I think Majestic Hero, and he's not going to be much of a price. Maybe he gets loose and a little brave in that race. It looked like there just wasn't much speed on paper where he might be able to just get to the point and slow things down.
Yeah, and it looks like he's actually faced some tougher horses than what he finds today, too, and I think that's been a little bit of a theme. I was a bit intrigued by a firster in there for Live Like Larry because same kind of things. You just have some horses that need to get a good trip or need to get a good spot.
And that's been the scenario with the 6, Mr. McFadden, our respective singles in the big multi-race wagers on this Saturday. And he's looking for 3 in a row and just seems to be a good fit here for 6250.
He really does. And since moving to the barn of Jorge Navarro, both going a mile and a 16th at Tampa, 2 back, and then last time right here at the 1-turn mile, he's shown a lot more speed. He's faced solid company. Both of the horses he beat in those 2 races came back to win. And again, it's a big ask to get 3 in a row, but I just think that he really kind of lays over the rest of this field.
A couple of drop downs and a new claim, for me anyway, takes center stage in this upcoming 10th race. Probably not a 3-horse affair, though. I'm 3 deep here in the late pick 5, but there's another horse as well who I have 4th, capping my super, and that is the 5 Teenage Idol in this upcoming $20,000 3-year-old filly claimer. A Teenage Idol got the good ride last time from Jose Ortiz.
Absolutely did, and I wanted to show this race because I thought it was a good performance from this horse. Was the number 1 that day. Did end up wiring the field and beat a pair of next out winners, looking like a queen. Came back with a 70 buyer speed figure. Another next out winner from that as well. I thought this was a good race, a good company that she faced, and she managed to hold off a closing looking like a queen there. Looked like she was getting a little bit tired, and Jose kept her together and kept her down to the wire. So both you and I actually liking a few prices in here. The 8 Zhao's Dream is actually 6-1. Teenage Idol is 6-1 as well. So hopefully we get some prices in this race.
Yeah, this could be a race where there's some value to be had, and who knows, a couple of potentially live contenders might to an extent fall through the cracks. And in the case of the 8 Zhao's Dream, I got lucky with the Von Bell Soar yesterday and whipped me into shape, who paid 17 bucks. And I think, thank you. And I think this filly by Cairo Prince is going to run very well. I like the barn change. I mean, it's not a crazy move up, but I really like the work Mr. Bell Soar does. And he's done some good things on the turf. And it's funny, I looked this up, and I don't think of him really as a turf trainer, right?
True.
It feels like he's just got more lower-level claimers on the dirt, but clearly this stat tells a bit of a different tale at 8 for 34 on the turf.
And he actually does have some. I remember last winter in particular, he had some of those higher level claimer, non-graded stakes level turf horses, and so that might have accounted for some of these numbers. But still, some really, really gaudy numbers there. Great stat to look at as well.
And 2 fillies, by the way, or 3, there'll be a bigger price and free to fly. But you've got a couple of potentially live contenders in the 3 Quick Point and the 6 Genie on the Beach, who are both coming out of that starter allowance race or starter handicap here on President's Day.
And I watched that race back a couple of times, and I don't know what you thought about it, but I looked back at it a few times, and I just didn't really want anybody out of there. I think Quick Point, perhaps, given that she is a little bit more of a closer, I mean, the top 2 just kind of went around the track last time out. So hopefully Quick Point just never really got a chance to close.
Yeah, there just wasn't much movement in that race, and that's why I'm going to give her a chance here for Todd Pletcher and Paco. Race 11, turfing, and this is a very turf-heavy Rainbow 6 and late pick 5. A lot of turf here, again, in the latter stages of the March 23rd program. We'll go 8.5 furlongs with this $50,000 starter allowance, and a pretty good race, and I think most people like you and I are going to have in some way, shape, or form, a main play of the 4 Preciado, the number 5, the man behind the man, and the 6 Appealing Briefs. But even looking at those 3 individual horses, I feel like it's a pretty good matchup because they all look different, but there's all a lot to like with that trio.
There is, and I think they're pretty evenly matched, which makes for a good betting race as well. And Appealing Briefs had a nice win last time out. Quite the good claim for Jorge Abreu, who's really made some good noise in state-bred New York competition. They brought him back up to Belmont, or kept him at Belmont, rather. But he's been down in South Florida, and he's been working pretty forwardly. So wanted to show you one of his recent works, courtesy of XBTV. This was in company with his stablemate, Muchacha Uno, but this was on March 3rd, so a couple weeks ago, but just good to see him working on the outside, as his rider really seemed to have a tough time pulling him up. He really had quite a bit of good energy, which is what I like to see from a horse working off of a layoff.
And that beautiful turf course up there in Palm Meadows.
Gorgeous.
I mean, it is rolling, it is massive, and it is lush. And yeah, no, this horse,
I mean, to give him a big pull to stop him.
But he's going so easy. It's funny.
Easy.
I mean, and she did an excellent job. I mean, really giving him his head, but not raiding him into submission there in that breeze. And certainly a timely workout to show with this gelding by Tisway. Again, you've got the Vitali horse who's dipping down in class, and I'm going to take the 4 Preciado, who's just first-time maker. I think, again, peace and love. It's a big, big move here, first off the claim with a new barn.
And this horse beat Ding Dong Ditch last time out, so it could be a little bit of a key race brewing if that horse gets it done earlier, as we think he will. So definitely, I think, a pretty key one here, despite the step up. Okay,
our centerpiece. There aren't that many graded stakes remaining this meet. We do have one today, field of 4, 3 horses going postward, essentially, between In the Loop, Federal Case, and Topper T. There's a lot to like with each of those in the 64th running of the Hutch. And why don't we start talking about the Iowa bred, because he's kind of an intriguing horse.
I love that he's an Iowa bred.
It's so cool. We love seeing oddities like this or atypical horses like this, and further proof. I just like that, you know, a good horse, as they say, can come from anywhere. Yeah. And clearly Gary Barber and the Wachtell folks like this horse with his campaign at Prairie Meadows, purchased him privately, took him a few starts to get going, but his swell was very good last time.
It actually was very good, and he had some legitimate trouble as we backtrack to that race, and I think he was just towards the back and in tight early. There he is as we pick it up. He tried to move up the rail, and just at this point, it's kind of a cavalry charge. Of course, Paul very impressively managed to get the win, but look at how wide now Topper T is. He's out in the center of the track, and I thought he finished up just really, really well. And I spoke to trainer Bill Mott about him yesterday after Hidden Scroll had worked. They asked him about Topper T as well, and he said, you know, you have a horse that's good enough. You got to take a shot with those two-turn races and see if he might be a legitimate Derby contender. He wasn't, so they shortened him up, and they thought they were encouraged by the 7/8 and think, well, we'll see if 6 furlongs is really going to be the best move for him, but he thought sprinting was exactly what he wanted to do.
And I think that is a good segue into perhaps the favorite today. I would imagine Federal Case will be favored here, and he probably should be favored, as Todd Pletcher, they took their shot in the face of Tipton Holy Bull. He was bet. He didn't run. Back to a one-turn sprint, and I feel as though his best race ever was the race for Rodolphe Brisset at Keeneland. He was very good in that 7-furlong debut, which prompted him to sell for over $600,000 at Keeneland November, but he clearly is the horse to beat, and I would imagine is going to relish the cutback to 3/4.
I think so, too. I think this will be the better spot for him. Same kind of thing. You take a shot in those graded stakes and see if he can get on the trail. Blinkers do go on as well, and it looks like he's been working very sharply at Palm Beach Downs.
And in the Loop is probably going to play out as the one to catch, as the dominant inside speed. And look, this is a much tougher.
Gladiator King has speed, though, too.
I know. I just think Gladiator King at this point, you know, will chase him for a furlong and a half and just say, you know, no mas, I've had enough. So I'm hoping in the Loop can get away from Gladiator King at some point into the far turn. And, I mean, Federal Case and Topper T. I like Where Paradise Lay for Stanley Huff.
Yeah.
These two horses, though, are way better than anything he faced first out. But he got bet. He was tipped out that he could run, and he got it done, which is a rarity. Seems like those horses lose a lot of the time. So I gave him some extra points there for getting it done as kind of the quote-unquote steam horse back on February 23rd.
Yeah, and good to see he got an 81 Beyer speed figure for that debut performance, too. So he actually did live up to the hype. I thought it was a nice race from him.
All right, let's wrap things up here. Race number 13 before we bring on track announcer Pete Aiello with those scratches and changes. 3-year-old 20K maiden claimers in the nightcap. You and I in the ballpark here for sure. We both like the 5, though, in different spots, but very much like the 5 Majestic Hero, who, as I looked around, I started to think if he's not on the lead, he might be able to just track the 4 Wheeler 45. I like the race flow for this horse.
And I think Home Drill is a little bit of a stronger horse than what he might find today. This was a race I thought could be asking for a first-time starter. There's plenty of turf pedigree in the 11 Live Like Larry. Talking about Where Paradise Lay, Stanley Huff is a firster in here. They purchased this horse for $20,000, so I have no qualms with him debuting for that price tag. He's off to a multiple graded stakes winner named Daddy Knows Best, who is a 7-time turf winner.
Sounds good. We're out of time. Ron Nicoletti joining Acacia and myself all day long downstairs. Beautiful day here in South Florida. And the man, Pete Aiello, is coming up next with those scratches and changes.
The best chance for success begins with a solid foundation. At Hardacre Farm, early personal one-on-one care starts the journey to becoming a champion. Bred to leading stallions, our mares represent the highest standards. Hardacre Farm's signature in the breeding industry. Based in Ocala, Florida, breeder and owner Amy Tarrant has inspired excellence throughout her entire career. In your quest for success, start with Hardacre Farm, breeding the champions of tomorrow.